This isn't just another video, and you didn't find it by accident. Something deeper brought you here. There's a message your spirit has been waiting to receive, and this is the moment it finds you. You've been through things that should have ended your life, yet here you are. You've walked away from moments that others didn't. Close calls, unexplainable recoveries, times when you should have been gone, but something stepped in. That something wasn't chance. It was divine protection. You've been covered, guarded, watched by a power far greater than you realized. Not because you were lucky, not because you prayed the perfect prayer, but because your purpose wasn't done. What tried to destroy you saw your future and tried to stop it early. But the light around you said no. You are chosen, and chosen ones aren't removed before their assignment begins. Maybe you felt different your whole life, sensitive to things others ignore. More pain, more pressure, more isolation than you could ever explain. But it was never random. You were marked. Your survival isn't just a story, it's a sign that heaven refused to let go of you. The darkness tried in many forms. As a child, in sickness, in silence, through emotional collapse and spiritual exhaustion. But even in those private moments when you felt invisible, unseen, and tired of trying, something held you. The truth is, your path was never ordinary, and the battles you faced weren't either. Because your calling carries weight. It challenges darkness. It awakens others. That's why it's been so hard. That's why the enemy came early and often. But even with all that, you're still standing. Because protection doesn't always feel soft. Sometimes it looks like delay. Sometimes it feels like pain. But it's always purposeful. The first time death missed you, your spirit was sealed. Something shifted. Your journey truly began. And even if you didn't understand it then, something inside you woke up. That awakening marked you. The second time, it wasn't physical, it was emotional. That deep battle inside, when giving up seemed easier, when life felt too heavy to carry. But you're still here. Not because it didn't get close, but because something sacred wouldn't let it win. You were never forgotten, never abandoned. Every silent tear, every silent cry was heard. And the fact that you're still here proves it. You didn't just survive. You were spared, selected, and sent forward. You were chosen, and now it's time to remember that. Everything that tried to end you failed. Now it's your turn to rise and live like someone death couldn't hold. You have a rare strength, chosen one, the kind that stands even when the soul is worn thin. You've walked through hell quietly and still rose. And when the enemy saw that you were still breathing, still believing, still standing, it realized something terrifying. You're not just chosen, you're unstoppable. Never underestimate those moments of survival. Don't downplay the seasons where you almost gave up, but didn't. Those weren't signs of weakness. They were proof of a divine hand holding you when you couldn't hold yourself. You're living proof that protection doesn't just come in moments of danger. It shows up when your mind is unraveling, when your heart is breaking, when life seems too heavy to carry. What tried to break you only built you. What tried to bury you only rooted you deeper in purpose. And now your calling has a voice louder than your pain. That third escape, it was real. This time, the threat wasn't emotional or mental. It was physical. It was undeniable. You saw it. You felt it. It shook your body or your world in a way that couldn't be ignored. A crash, a close call, a violent moment. You should have been gone. But something changed. Time bent. The moment paused, and you made it out. People may have called it luck. But deep inside, you know better. That wasn't luck, it was intervention. When you are marked for purpose, even death must wait for permission. And in that moment, your spirit was protected by something beyond human. Whether it was a surgery gone wrong, a brush with violence, or a freak accident, your breath stayed in your lungs for one reason. Your mission is not complete. You still have work to do here. There's still a sound your voice is meant to release. Still healing that only your presence can offer. The world hasn't seen the fullness of what you carry yet. If you've ever looked back and thought, I don't know how I survived that. Your spirit knows exactly how. You were caught, pulled from the edge, surrounded by unseen light in your darkest hour. And when your destiny is still active, even death can't override divine timing. Chosen ones walk in protection the world can't explain. Your timeline is guarded. Your path is sacred. And even when danger seems close, it can only get so far. Some of you have scars, visible or invisible, that tell this story. Others only have memories. But either way, the truth remains, you were rescued. Not just saved, but sealed. You crossed the edge and came back, carrying something different. People may not understand what changed in you, but they feel it. They stare, they sense, they know there's something different about your energy. That's the residue of a divine encounter. Don't hide that story. Tell it. Someone else is barely holding on, and your voice might be the reminder they need. The threat you survived wasn't the last, but it came as close as it was allowed. Because you've been spared on purpose, for purpose, and nothing can override that. When you look at all three escapes together, the spiritual, the emotional, and the physical, it becomes clear you were never just surviving. You were being shaped. Each moment wasn't random. It was design. A greater strategy written long before you were born. You were never meant to die in those moments. Your spirit carried a light too powerful to be extinguished, and heaven made sure you stayed long enough to complete the assignment only you can fulfill. The first attack came early, trying to break your spirit before it could awaken. But it failed. The second came through silence and sorrow, hoping to drown you in despair. But your soul refused to let go. And the third, raw, dangerous, close, was a reminder that even physical death has limits when your calling isn't done. You are here because your destiny speaks louder than destruction. Your life is not a collection of accidents. It's a sacred timeline of interventions. You carry evidence, not theory, that divine purpose delays destruction. Some spend their whole lives wondering if they're chosen. You don't need to wonder. Look at your life. Look at what didn't kill you. That is your confirmation. The pain was real, but it didn't end you. It prepared you. You're not broken. You're refined. You don't just have scars. You have spiritual credentials. The fire didn't consume you. It crowned you. And now you walk with a weight in the spirit that no one else can copy. You've lived through what most fear, and come back with eyes that see clearer, instincts that warn louder, and a presence that commands attention. This is why you don't tolerate the fake anymore. Why you can sense truth without being told. Why you see through people without effort. You've been tuned, adjusted, upgraded. Your spirit walks in step with something higher now. And that's not ego. That's awareness. Don't silence your gifts. Don't ignore the signs, the dreams, the gut feelings. You've crossed a spiritual threshold that few ever touch. You're not just living. You're listening. And that sensitivity is proof that you were never the same after your escapes. You've been activated. Now move accordingly. And if you've ever wondered why your life feels delayed, why you're not as far as others, it's because your journey has been protected. You've been held back not to be punished, but to be positioned. Divine delay is a setup for divine alignment. Everything you've been through is coming together now, for such a time as this. You weren't denied your purpose. It was delayed on purpose, not because you weren't worthy, but because timing matters. You had to grow, heal, and awaken before the world could see you. And deep down, you've always known you were meant for something more. While others chased the spotlight, you walked through shadows, preparing. You felt different, older, misaligned with what others found important. That wasn't by chance. It was a sign. You've been through cycles, jobs, relationships, environments that kept repeating until you broke free. It wasn't failure. It was divine refinement. Spirit doesn't allow the chosen to rise with unhealed wounds. Every delay, every detour brought you closer to your core. While others celebrated their journey publicly, yours happened in silence. No one saw the battles, the breakdowns, or the spiritual awakenings. You transformed in the dark. Because delayed destiny begins in hidden places. People left. Doors closed. Plans collapsed. But these weren't rejections. They were protections. Reroutes sent by God to ensure the right things aligned at the right time. And now, as the delay lifts, you're starting to move faster. Growth accelerates. Your gifts awaken. What once took years now unfolds in months. This is the catching up of your spirit to your destined timeline. Still, there's a holy frustration, the knowing that you were born for more, but haven't yet arrived. That tension is a sign. Chosen ones always feel it. The soul knows what the body hasn't yet reached. Don't resent the delay. It's proof your calling is too valuable to be released too soon. Spirit had to hide you, not because you weren't ready to be seen, but because the world wasn't ready to see you clearly. And from the beginning, you were different. Not just physically, but spiritually. The enemy saw it before you did. That's why it came for you early. It planted fear, confusion, trauma. You weren't born into ease, you were born into war. Your existence threatened systems, and hell knew the impact you'd one day have. You carried divine blueprints, frequencies, and gifts that couldn't be ignored. The attack wasn't because you were weak. It was because you were dangerous to darkness. Your light disrupted atmospheres. That's why you faced so much chaos, so much pain before you even knew what to call it. Emotional abandonment, abuse, neglect. Many of you experienced all of it too early. But none of it broke you, because you were never meant to be ordinary. Every spiritual assault you faced was confirmation of your calling. And here's the truth. If hell had its way, you'd be gone. But you're still here, still rising, still awakening. And that means heaven has something left for you to do. You are chosen, protected, and powerful. Now it's time to move differently. You're no longer allowed to walk unconsciously. Your light is too loud. Your vibration too high. You've been noticed in the spirit. You must now live with awareness. Not fear, awareness. Guard your energy. Honor your sensitivity. It's not weakness, it's your shield. When your body reacts, when your spirit feels uneasy, pay attention. That's divine discernment. Not everyone can go where you're going. Some people cloud your clarity simply by being close. That's not judgment, it's alignment. You've done the work. You carry weight, and weight requires boundaries. Build spiritual discipline. Prayer, meditation, fasting, silence. These are not rituals. They're your weapons. You've seen what happens when you let your guard down. Now, live as someone who knows how to protect their peace. Your words shape your world. Declare protection. Speak life. Move with intention. Because protection isn't just what happens to you. It's what you activate with how you live. And finally, remember, the version of you that came out of the fire isn't the same one that went in. You've been broken open and rebuilt. You're a vessel now. You carry healing, truth, and light, not for applause, but because the world needs what you hold. You are not lost, not late. You are on a sacred countdown. And when your time comes, everything will shift, quickly, clearly, powerfully. The enemy tried, but heaven refused. And that means your purpose is still alive. Walk like someone who's already won. So if you've ever questioned why the battle was so heavy, or why the wait was so long, remember this. What's ahead is greater than what's behind. Your story is not over. In fact, it's just beginning. And when your moment comes, it won't be quiet. It'll be undeniable. Because chosen ones don't just arrive, they shift everything when they do. Keep walking. Stay ready. Your time is near. And the world won't be the same once you fully step into who you were born to be. Comment 777 if this truth hits your spirit. You've been spared not by chance, but by divine design.